I mean, you've grown your company since acquiring your second generation,
Third.
third generation.
Yeah, I'm the bad one.
Oh, your chance of failure is pretty
Oh
high.
yeah, I think I'm out of the woods. It got close a couple times, but yeah, I think
Okay,
yeah.
so tell the story a little bit, just for my sake, because I mean, I think your story is fascinating. But you 5x the company in the last 4 years, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're
Okay,
just trying to be like Titus.
tell just double it.
Yeah, so grew up in the business, kind of in the business. I've been sorting fitting since I could walk.
Give us what's the
Sorting
company?
fitting. I'm a fence contractor.
Okay,
I'm really an opportunity provider, and we do it through fences. I really like to make that distinction because it's all about opportunity for us. It's one of our values is people-tunity. Taking people that otherwise don't have opportunity, giving them an opportunity. We're a creative opportunity. Really, that's what it's all about. Middle class wealth for us, and that's why we've been able to grow. It's like that comes first. Fences is just
whoa.
by way of which we provide opportunity.
Where did this people-tunity idea come from? Give that like what?
Well, culture came first. I remember in like 2019, I came to the office and I was like, guys, this is priority. It's like setting the tone for culture, and we're gonna do this value exercise. And everybody looked at me like I had three heads, and they're like, the heck is he doing now? Like, this is never gonna stick. And we went through the paces, and we built our values, and we kind of started to get it. I think it took 2 years to click, and then we reset our values.
2 years
to really so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Culture values first. It took us 2 years to actually be like, oh, this matters, and this is how we make our decisions, hire everything that you guys, I'm sure, are very similar in. And I still argue with my friends today. It's like culture doesn't matter. It's like culture is all that matters. That is what matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, the people-tunity, it's the only value that's not a real word, and it was just impossible for us to explain it any other way. I don't know how.
So practically. You used a line just then. You said people who otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity.
Yeah,
right?
I love the reject. I don't want to call anybody that works for me a reject, but I love the reject. I love the comeback story.
You just did though. But you just did.
I'm a reject. I'm a reject. So I like when I say rejects, when I call them societal rejects, right? If you don't go to college, you can't make anything for yourself. I think most tradesmen would identify with being somewhat rejected by the typical, you go to college, you get a 4-year degree, you work for them. Like, those aren't my people. My people, we're coming out of jail and we need a fresh
another
start.
chance.
We work for a terrible person, and we didn't even know that there was such a thing as a boss that would talk to me like a human. That was one of the lines from one of the guys.
Oh, man, that is rich, right?
Yeah, but those are my people. They're unconventional. We're unconventional. Like I think we're a motley crew that just works hard, and I think there's a need for that. Like beyond just, I think it's kind of whack that you got to go spend $100,000 to go sit in school and learn something that won't even help you, or you might have never used versus.
Right.
Anyway,
that's a big deal. I mean, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I always joke around when speaking on the topic of recruiting and hiring. I'm like, yeah, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a firefighter, a ninja, or a recruiter. Nobody wanted to be a recruiter.
Me too. I wanted to be a fence contractor.
Nobody wanted it. That's not what you dreamed of doing. It's like, but how do you figure out life and where do you fit and use your strengths? And mine's in the people space, and yours is people-tunity.
Yeah,
that's really refreshing. So I'm sure there are challenges with that.
Oh my gosh, I've been burned so many times. It's crazy. I mean, just last year we were on a hiring kick, and I'll take the chance every time. But like, there was a girl that wanted a job. She was working the oil fields and wanted to come work for us, and she was super persistent with me, which is like my old adage. I didn't used to be really good at hiring. My old adage was, if you want to work hard and you want to grow, come work for me. And like, that was my litmus test. And like, I think only about 5 or 6 people have stolen money from me and didn't work out and didn't show up, or like, so it's a gamble. We're gambling, but I'll do that every time. I'll miss 10 out of those to like, I don't want to use his name, but there's a kid working for me, like, and I could get emotional about it. He was working at a sawmill, and he was one of like 6. I'm gonna call it like his class of 6. There were 6 people that were like, "You're gonna pay me, I don't know, 15, 17. You're gonna pay me that much money? What do you like?" It was crazy money to them for $15 to $17 an hour, which they're from out of state, so it's a little different pay scale.
Sure.
But they were working at a sawmill and just getting crapped on, man. Like their boss just crapped on them. Like, and he's supporting his family and all this. And like, he was one of 6 that came to me and stuck it out. And he's been with me for, I think he's coming on his year anniversary or 2. It changed his life. But I'll
Yeah.
do one of him if it takes me 10 paying people $500 to move across the country because they don't have cash and then they don't end up showing up. I know I went down 2 stories, but this girl was pursuing me, pursuing me, pursuing me, and she didn't have cash to get here. So, I said, well, okay. I sent her money and then never showed up. And then did the same thing with a guy. He like stayed at the hotel room and disappeared, took the money and ran. So like, yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss, but
Yeah.
it's just a total. It's the gamble is worth it every time.
I mean, that is a unique perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think if I was giving advice to a client and said,
Yeah, no, don't be like Kevin. That would be good
no,
advice.
but if I was, we charge money for our services. I imagine like, yeah, this one's a high risk, like this one's, but it's worth it if you get 2 out of 10
Yeah,
successful ones with us. People would be like, I don't think you're in the right business.
Yeah, no.
But you got a heart for seeing people's lives restored and returned around. And where did
Yeah,
that come from?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of it's faith-based, I'm sure. That's a really good question, actually. Um, I think f for me, I'm a very big picture guy, which I think you and I probably share. And I think I don't want to say greed is the root of all evil, but I've seen money and wealth and the obsession of wealth on both sides. Just it's devastating. Not
Yeah.
having it is devastating, and obsessing over it and having too much of it. And I'm a pretty smart guy. I know what kind of money there is to be made in business. Like the thought of being independently wealthy is great and refreshing, but if I haven't brought the bottom up with me, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. So it's more important for me to have done good along the way, throughout the way, so that, when I'm able to amass the wealth that I'm able to amass, I don't have to feel like a greedy prick about it because it
Yeah.
it went down there first. It has to go down there first. So it's actually selfish, first of all, for me. It's so
Yeah.
that I can live with myself. If when I'm
Yeah.
successful, or when I reach that level, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, I kept the main thing, and that's taking care of people. And like that's our commandment, right? Love
Yep.
God, love your neighbor. So, and that's what's important is taking care of people for me.
Wow.
So it's not all money. I don't want to say it's all money,
No, it's not. I mean, it's, time, treasure, talent.
but yeah, I mean, and then the other side of that, like being big picture, is like, where's the middle class in our country anymore? Where is it? Because it's eroding. The poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting rich, and like if we don't actually like commit to fixing that in the microcosm of what is my company and hopefully my industry and then hopefully all industry as a whole, like who's going to fix it? Because it's not going to fix the system is set to do exactly what it's doing unless we.
Right.
So I'm going to go rattle the system. That's my goal, is to rattle the system.
Okay. So like many listeners, are like, how the flip are you doing it? Like, what does that look like on a day to day? I mean, obviously you're helping people, give them a leg up, opportunity, you get screwed 8 out of 10 times. But what does that really look like for those who are the person who just came from a sawmill? He's been with you a year. Like, what's his story? He's like, oh no, Kevin is helping me become middle class.
What is the question? Because you
Mm.
asked, I think it sounded like you were asking
How are you?
globally, how are you going to do it? Or how am I doing it? Like, how am I taking care of, we're going to call him Jack. His name's not Jack. How are you
Sure.
we'll call it Jack.
Um, you just remind me of something. So I wrote a book recently, published in October, and in the
I've
book,
been meaning to read that.
well, I got a copy for you today, signed by the author.
Yeah.
But in the book, I said I was talking about the situation where I hired somebody who really screwed us over,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, we'll call him Jeremy. And then in the presentation, I said, because that was his name. and the publisher was like, you can't say that. And I was like, why? Like, that was his name. It's not payback. He's never going to read it, and no one knows who the flippy is. But anyway, but you can call him Jack. So tell me about, like, how do you do this? How do you do it in your company?
Well, I can't give you all my secrets because then I mean, this is what I'll say. Primarily, our issue, I have a waiting list of people. I have too much labor that wants to come work for me. So that I don't think there's
Wow.
anybody in construction that can say that. And so it's working. But all you have to simply do is take care of them.
Okay.
beyond that. So it starts with this. For me, it started with this is instead of asking how much do I have to pay them, how much can I pay them? How much can I afford to pay them? And
Mm.
like if you change the value proposition of that question and you look at like if you look at my business, I'm a fence contractor. It would make sense that my most important asset is the guy that's putting the fence in the ground.
Yeah.
And if I look at his value instead of looking at the salesman value and I look at what a salesman makes and what my installer makes, it's very easy to say these don't reconcile in the traditional.
Yeah.
So fix it. And I think a lot of our initiatives are half begun. So I want to make sure that I'm not false
No, I
advertising.
get it. I mean,
But
I live in aspirational land
yeah,
most
good.
of my
Thank you.
life.
Good. But it starts with, vehicles are tough, or no, it's housing and vehicles. Like, what do people need? So most of my foremen drive a truck. What sense does it make for them to drive their car to my office to pick up the truck, to take the truck to the job, to
Mhm.
take the truck back to the office to get their car? We don't need two cars. Just take my truck.
Yeah.
You get a vehicle.
Yeah.
I already have to pay for the vehicle, whether it's sitting in my yard. So,
Yeah.
I mean, am I losing on mileage because they got to go to the grocery store? Yeah. But they have a vehicle. They have reliable transportation, and
It's got your logo on it.
yeah, well, it should. My fleet manager needs to get those things lettered because we got
Sort
a
it
lot
out.
of naked trucks on the road. But yeah, stuff like that. And then housing. I mean, and it's been bothering me. There's another, we'll call him Jack 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when they come to me, their credit may or may not be great. So they're getting bent over the keels and landowner, they're paying rent on, they're not living in the greatest house for themselves and they're paying an arm and a leg and they got a security deposit and all they can only afford. So why isn't that something that I subsidize? So easy enough. Why would I not subsidize their housing?
How do you subsidize? Like, what does that really mean?
Right now, it's, when they're traveling, like I don't think we only pay for a couple people's housing locally, but I want to do, ultimately, I want to build a development like for employee housing where other companies that are similar in mind to me can sponsor the housing and there can be a structure, but,
You'd build like an apartment complex for your
yeah,
employees?
I hate the word sustainable housing. Are you familiar with sustainable housing?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
if people hear sustainable housing is coming to the neighborhood, everybody runs for the hills and freaks out. So like sustainable housing should be called unsustainable housing. I want to do true sustainable housing, right?
Okay.
Teach them, provide them housing that they can have some buy-in to so that they don't have to, that
Like a rent to
they
own?
can build equity. Yeah, something where they can learn that. When do you get taught real estate?
Dude, this is awesome.
Thanks,
I did
man.
not know this.
I'm not doing any of it right now. I'm trying to get there. Like
I don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good. This is good.
I want to advertise that I'm not.
We've been using this line for profit we're a for profit for
I
good
know.
company. Like, what does good look like? And what you're describing, I want to be part of that.
Yeah,
That's life changing. That changes people's lives.
I know.
You economically advancing people by X amount of years that they work for you. It does so good for their family and their children and their offspring, and it sets them up for better success because they're not in a neighborhood with influences that are going to take their kids down and rob their kids of a great future.
Yeah,
You're actually helping them, or you're aspiring to.
thank you. Yeah,
But
it's important. But we're there. Like we funded it. Like so, like we call it the Y Fund. Like I'm a big Y guy. Been a Y.
Yeah.
Purpose. Simon Sinek. I'm sure you're.
Yeah.
But like last year was the first year, and this will probably be the first announcement because it hasn't even come out in the newsletters. Like we finally funded it. So,
don't worry. By the time this actually airs, you'll be well on with
yeah,
that.
we already developed it. But I appreciate you saying it. I've always known that there was a lot of synergies, but I was always like, always called I like when I talk to Peggy, I'm always like, yeah, I'm mini Jonathan. I'm just like, he's like 2, 3, 4 years at 5.
I'm twice the size of you,
10
that's
years
for
ahead.
sure.
Yeah. He's 10 years ahead of me. Cause yeah, I saw the work you guys were doing. I think you were doing it with this. There was some sustainable something that you were supporting. I can't remember.
I don't know.
They were like living. They had their own farm. I can't remember what it was. I swear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a not-for-profit in Solutions for Change.
In California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing it almost mirrored of what I
They
want to
take
do.
literally homeless families,
Yeah.
put them in housing, feed them, help them, train them how to run a home.
Yeah.
That when the kids go to school, they're teaching them, and they're actually running the largest aquaponics farm in the country.
Yeah.
It is, and then they they teach them to sell the produce to some of the
Right.
high-end
Yeah.
restaurants in
So
the area. And it's about a 36-month program, and their kind of graduation rate where people are in their own homes, like growing in life, is
that's
like
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is, but
Every,
you're making it into your world as well. It's not like writing a check.
yeah.
Because
No.
I could write a check to Solutions for Change and go, good job for you.
Yeah.
Or I can say, no, what is the good that I am actually doing or we're doing as a company? That's huge, man. What's
Thank
the
you.
biggest obstacle to that? Because like, I'm sure, like,
To
what's preventing you from like,
to running with that.
mhm.
Well, first was capital. So as you said, like you have managed to build your business with no debt. I'm extremely leveraged. And we had to get fence, for me to even be talking about this. Well, we're a top tier fence company, but we haven't set the standard yet. And so until we set the standard and everybody nationwide looks at us and goes, oh, complete fence in Northern Illinois fence, those guys know what they're like. That is the industry standard. Until I'm there, it's very foolish for me to be building a development, an employee
What does
housing.
that? That's a great question. So, as a fencing contractor, what would the standard in your industry look like?
Oh,
Or am I,
it is so low. The bar is so low. I mean, our industry is great for a lot of reasons, but super saturated, quality of service is low. So even if you know that quality of service matters, it puts you in like probably the top echelon of the thousands of fence contractors you can call. And then just doing what you say you're gonna do, being responsive to customers. Our industry is tough on both the commercial and residential side. I don't want to make excuses.
yeah,
Every industry has its struggles, but the standard is so low. So when I call a GC and I say, "Hey, I'd love to be your fence guy," it's like, "Oh, good," because I have trouble. All I have is terrible landscapers and terrible fencers because like we
yeah.
don't. So what does it look like? A myriad of things. I'm trying to paint the most narrow picture, but if we can serve fences as well as what do you think of when you think of quality service? When you,
I mean, I think I like food, so I
yeah,
like great
that's what I
restaurants.
was thinking. I was like,
It's funny when we were going to go grab lunch after this. I got a call yesterday confirming a reservation for today, and then I got a text just before we
yeah,
arrived. Press one to confirm your reservation.
yeah,
Like when I walk in there, since they contacted me twice, it better be they
yeah,
better know I'm coming.
yeah,
If I walk in and they're like, "Sorry, what?" And I'm like,
yeah,
you reached out to me to confirm this
yeah,
twice. You better know I'm coming. So the expectation of preparedness, it's just those little touches like, oh,
yeah,
don't make me feel awkward in this whole process. And the funny thing is, when we're going for lunch, there'll be 50 open tables today. I just
yeah,
know it. Like it's
yeah,
not like they desperately are trying to manage this whole thing. It's just this extra touch of care. And it was more about me than it is about managing their workflow.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, if you do that really well, I think that's amazing.
yeah. We need to do the same
Communication.
same
Yeah.
thing in fences,
Yeah.
and we can't do the same thing in fences.
Do you use technology to operationalize that, or is it more just a human touch?
Relative to how you use technology, or relative to how my competitors use technology, we
Go
are
with go with
we're in
better.
the 20th century in the future in our industry, but relative to the rest of the world, we're still on pen and paper. So yes, the answer is yes.
Right. Okay.
We're building out our
I
technology.
find that really hard because you got the big tech companies. If I order something from Uber Eats or something like that, or Pizza Hut, it'll tell me they're making my food. A driver is picking up my food, where they're at, and I can see this whole route. I'm like, golly, that's the competition of communication.
100%.
And it's all real time. And I'm like, holy flipply, I can't get this. Like, I can't compete with that because my product is actually people, and
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be ready.
Yeah. See, we share that. That is the expectation, right? How you shop
Yeah.
on Amazon, and we just have to rise to that because, yeah, our industry is more like an airline that cancels flight and forgets to tell you, even, kind of. That's what standard looks like in our industry. So,
So is it, I mean, based on that, is it that hard to hit the top 10% then if everyone else is doing a crap job?
if top 10% was okay, yeah, I would say I think we're there now.
You
But
just don't want to be, you want to be like so far beyond that.
do you want to be the bottom of the top or the top of the bottom or the top? I think that's kind of when I say set the standard is, yeah, we've said it for years. My people have said it for years. Well, we're not great, but we're better than most. No, we want to be great. We want to be great. So we want to be
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can call it the Amazon of fences. Like we need to set the standard in a way that people understand. Like
So,
if we raise the bar, we can raise the bar. It's like I think fencers don't need to be a troublesome trade.
so how does okay? So how do you take um, we talk about this at Titus, like the kind of Ritz-Carlton experience, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I don't live in Ritz-Carlton land. I'm like, I
Yeah.
throw out this term and I expect everyone else to understand it. I'm like, I don't go to the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
How would somebody who's, making what they don't go to the Ritz-Carlton, I'm assuming, because I don't pay them that much. So how do you show somebody, and you've talked about the people that you're hiring, kind of this is like big deal, that you're giving them a chance and giving them opportunity. How do you go, hey, we got to be excellent? And they're like, okay, I don't even know what excellence looks like.
Mm,
I don't go to those restaurants where you get reservations.
it's a great question. I don't have that figured out yet. I mean, I think it comes back to process. Have you read the new process, the US process book?
Oh, no, yeah,
Super
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Super good.
Oh, no, I haven't read
I
it.
think you build processes that help them understand, and then maybe part of that process is they get to go to the Ritz-Carlton for a night and understand what are the maybe.
I mean, that's a fascinating. I know some companies do this stuff where they'll go, "Hey, we want you to know what Disney's like, and we're going to go and like take our little iPads and clipboards, and we're going to go to Disney, and we're going to go and learn and observe. That's what we're there for."
Yeah.
But finding something that's similar, a translatable industry where you can show your team members what the standard of excellence looks like that inspires them to live up to it, where they'll take a level of pride in great communication, a level of pride in presentability, level of pride in um, just going that
Yeah.
extra mile.
No, it's great. It's a great question. I would say
The Chick-fil-A's of the world,
yes.
I mean, there are companies who have got such a great training,
Yeah.
so and people they model after it, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So okay,
I'm gonna say, don't you forget about Wyoming.
we're gonna talk about Wyoming now. Um, you're pretty open about like, hey, you're living here in the Midwest. Here it is, middle of February. Last week on Saturday, I was so pumped because I thought this winter was over.
Yeah.
I was like Sunday afternoon.
Everybody.
I said to my wife, I spent the weekend wearing like shorts and t-shirt. I told my wife, I was like, let's go sit outside Sunday afternoon. And she's like, outside? I'm like, it's sunny. She goes, you want to get out all the patio furniture? And I was like, well, I'm not that committed. I'll get the little folding deck chairs. And we sat out by the fire pit, the little folding, they're still sitting out there. But they're sitting out there now covered in snow.
Yeah.
Okay, you detest this.
So I try to be positive. I like to manifest positivity. So if you talk about my home state, you're gonna get me in the most negative you can, and Craig Wood will be upset because he always gets after me for being negative about Illinois.
He's a snowbird. He lives in Florida.
I know.
How can he do that?
I don't know. It's not about the winter for me. There's just my heart. I think I was born in the mountains and then transplanted back to the flatlands of Illinois. I just think I was built to be in the mountains chasing.
Do you know this is the second flattest state?
Yeah.
Out of all of them.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that, but I know it's too flat for me. What's the first?
Florida.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what I always tell my wife. She's like, I just need contours. I need something. If I'm gonna go on a hike, the
highest you can get here is 1,200 feet, I think.
Don't remind me.
My assistant and her family are high pointers.
Okay.
So they hit the high point of every state.
Oh, wow.
And they're working them off before their kids turn 18.
Oh, that's super cool.
Really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you didn't tell me, what was your question? You prompted me to talk crap about my home state.
I didn't. Well, I just moved here as well. I wasn't saying talk crap about your state.
That was my first question to you. Is what the heck are you doing here, man?
Like, I realized that the state we live in is ill and annoy. So
I have never
there you go.
put that together. Yes.
Just seems a little bit uninspiring. Anyway, not to talk crap about the state we live in, or the taxes we pay here, all kinds of things like that.
Or sports teams.
Or sports teams. Wait, doesn't your wife work for the Bears?
Oh man, I can't go on camera, but she does work for the Bears. She does work for the Bears, and her job is to have something good to say about them every week. So, God bless her.
She is the reporter for the Bears. Okay, cool. Yeah. Anyway, we won't talk about the Bears or your wife today, but you have
bring her on.
Invite her up. Let's go.
Yeah.
You have a dream to not be here.
Yes.
Like,
So
now you're pretty, and I asked you, I was like, are we open about this? So your employees know, your clients know,
everybody.
like, I don't want to be here.
So when we were smaller, what we would do. So I'm a snowmobiler. I'm a backcountry
Okay.
snowmobiler through and through. That and motocross are just my two. That's the only place I can turn my mind off. But so we don't. There's not a lot going on for Fens January, end of January and February, right? We're ground's frozen, can't work. And when we were smaller, we didn't have to, but we'd lay our guys off, and so then we kind of executed a furlough where like everybody kind of got winter off. They would work a few days a week, and then they would go on unemployment, and we would compensate what we could so they'd make the same salary and only have to work
Yeah.
a few days a week. Why did we do that? Is so I could just get the heck out of here and go be out there in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, snowmobiling. So that's the drastic extreme I'll go to get my fun time. But so everybody at the company knows that Kevin hates Illinois. Kevin wants out of here, but the business and
How uninspiring is that for them? Is it like kind of like our leader doesn't like?
we're a national company that's trapped in Illinois, and we're gonna get the heck out of there. So
We're
it's
a national
expired.
company trapped in Illinois.
It's
Wait, so quick clarification: complete fence and Northern Illinois fence.
yeah.
Explain that.
Union, non-union.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's kind of the way it's set up. We have a union arm and a non-union arm.
I
So
probably should have known that, but
no, it's
you
very
probably told me at
confusing.
one point.
Yeah, no, it's very confusing. But the union's making some awesome steps where we can. I think we don't have to have two different entities, so that'll help us. So,
Oh, cool.
but
So when your employees and your team members hear like, hey, you got one side you're talking about like helping them kind of get a leg up and grow and build back the middle class, but you want to go and live with the upper class.
no, I want to live in the mountains, and it just so happens that all the rich people are buying up all the land in the mountains. So I got
It
to join
definitely
them.
sounds like that you want to go out be with all your rich people up in the
I
mountains.
don't. You know what? We can
Let's
have
address that
we
right
can
now, shall we? Let's go.
Yeah,
You don't
well,
want to be
the
with them.
rich. No, I think back to what we were talking about. It's devastating for me. If you look at the town of Alpine, that's a small community. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
For the record, Alpine, Wyoming,
Yeah.
Southern Star Valley. I want to be called at home the worst way, but if you grow up in that valley and now you watch what the pressure of Jackson has come down to them, you can't afford to live there. They
I
can't.
know.
They're going to get squeezed out. So how do
Well,
you fix that?
Well, I think I want to be out there too. But
Yeah.
it's gone from millionaires playground to billionaires
Yeah,
playground.
it's insane. So somebody with some money needs to go buy a crop of land and take care of it and give them a good place to live.
I blame Yellowstone.
Oh, so do I. It's ruined. I don't want to say it's ruined. Yeah,
It's Kevin Costner's fault.
it really is. Montana for sure. Montana has
Montana,
been
yeah.
just used and abused because that was my first love.
Seriously. And like stuff in Star Wars ruined space as well. I was going to get some
Yeah.
real estate up there.
Yeah, I know. There's not room out there for anybody anymore. But so it is near and dear to my heart because even like Livingston, where our first real estate property is it's just they're putting pressure on, and the locals are getting squeezed out by people that they come and visit. It's people from California that are on their fifth home that are buying up all the prime real estate that they can't afford. I think it's a travesty. I don't think it's right.
I mean, do you have solutions for this?
Yeah, for sure.
What?
Well, I am a conservative. I hate the politics, but I don't think giving the government any of the money doesn't, you can't solve problems through taxes, but you can solve the appropriate regulation. Like I think there's plenty of money. Oh man, do I have a solution for this? Yes, I think if you're on your fifth home and you're not going to stay there all the time, like your real estate tax should look different than the guy that's slugging it out living there all the time. That's been local and is going to stay local there. So I don't know.
And you will become a local.
Yes, yeah. I quiver whenever anybody out there asks me where I'm from. I'm like, well, I'm from Illinois, but I'm trying to
Your heart home, although it sounds fluffy a bit, but your heart home would be Wyoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
My wife's is in Montana, so we're at a little bit of our odds here. But
what's the difference for you and your wife? Like what is it about Bozeman versus Alpine?
I grew up in Illinois, went to school in Colorado. I was supposed to go to grad school in Montana, and then there was things with the business that I just felt I needed to be here, so I never got to kind of go live out that dream. Came here. Always my heart was in the mountains. Like that's what. And
wait, and you were military in here,
and then
Marine Corps.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I came.
When I said Marine Corps, you said sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, that's
You have
weird.
not addressed me as sir the entire time, but when I said Marine Corps, you said yes, sir.
Does that make me a phony?
I don't know. I don't know
That's a
what it
weird thing.
means.
I was even listening to that video you were showing me. It was so I said like I referred to you guys as in my arsenal to deploy or something. I was like, what a loser. But yeah,
Carry on. Keep talking to
you
me,
can't
sir.
say
I like
yeah.
this.
There was one time I said yeah, like to somebody I should have said yes, sir, and oof, they just ripped me. Just ripped me. One time, I'll never forget it. I don't remember his name, but it ripped me up. Like you can't say yeah. You say yes or no, sir. Yes, man. I mean,
All right. So I
Army, you do whatever
derailed.
you
I
want.
derailed.
Yes. So I got out of college, came home, was running the business. I remember people were like, "How's it going?" It's like, "No, I'm not doing 3 years of this. If it keeps going like this, I'm out." And I was actually on a missions trip to Haiti, and I was reading. I had read 2 books, American Sniper and Lone Survivor. So Marcus
Yeah.
Luttrell's lead. I brought me to tears, and I had been tired of fighting with my old man. You know, the third generation thing. It is a
Yeah.
freaking nightmare. But I was kind of just sitting there, like, what do I want to be? Do I want to try to be Steve Jobs? Do I think like I could go climb the corporate ladder, and I could be anything because
Yeah.
I'm an arrogant a-hole. I can be anything I want to be. I have the gift of gab. I can sell. I can do whatever. What do I want to be?
You're a millennial.
Oh, we have. Are you?
I think we both are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm right on the
Tough
cusp.
generation. Yeah.
I'm right on the money.
Yeah. I am a millennial. I'm not proudly a millennial, but I don't know. There's some good third generation. Anywho, I was like at this crossroads. I could be anything I want to be. I can climb the corporate ladder. I was like,
Yeah.
and then I remembered like I wanted to join the military out of high school. My mom made me go to college, and I was like reading these books about these American heroes, and I was like, that's who the hell I want to be. Like that's definitely who I want to be. And a lot of people were like, man, how did you make that decision to kind of walk away from the business? I did it. I cried. I remember crying, telling them I'm leaving, because you know, quitting is not normally in my nature, but it's really easy. I was going to be a 50-year-old man and wonder what that would have been like. Or I would know if it sucked. I would at least know that
Yeah.
it sucked, but I tried it. So initially, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. But then the thought of being like stuck on a boat and not a Navy SEAL if I didn't make it was like, I would have
feel
made it.
like-
I would have made it. I know. But
I've seen those Navy SEAls train
oh man,
in
it's
San
hardcore.
Diego, and it's intense.
It's hardcore. I was just snowmobiling with one actually. But so yeah, the Marine Corps, you know, all the branches are like, come. The Marine Corps is like, I don't think you have what it takes, and it just spoke to me. So, so yeah, I went into the Marine Corps. I was
6 years.
6, 7.
Okay.
I was a reservist, so I didn't do anything cool. But no, that's not true. I did something cool. I was
That's not the commercial for the reserves.
yeah, no.
Come and not do anything cool.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I just think there's guys out there with much more heroic stories than mine. So I like to diminish it, and something I probably should stop doing. But I was a tank officer. I mean, I had the best job in the Marine Corps. I don't care what any of those aviators think. Like being a tank platoon commander was freaking sick. I mean, it was awesome. Like
So
it was so cool. And then they got rid of tanks and COVID. That was a whole. We won't go there. But when I got out of the Marine, when I got done with training, so for those that don't know, like the reservists go through the same training as the active guys. So I got to train with some of my best friends today, some of the best men I know. I'm not talking about you, Ryan. I got done with training, and I was like, I know where I want to be. I don't know when I can be there, but I know where I want to be. And Lauren and I had gotten married while I was in the service. And so we were looking in Bozeman. Bozeman always had my heart. So we were just going to get a starter home. And we happened to walk into just a beautiful 50-acre property that was like irrefusable. So we bought that. We're going to run it as a rental. And it was really a hedge because I knew that real estate out there was just going to, I've been watching the trends and I was studying. So we bought it. And it was unfortunately the first house that my wife and I bought together, and it is home for her and she loves it, and it doesn't work for me. I mean, I love it. I love the town. I love the area. If we have to move there instead of Illinois, I'm going to be a happy man. But we kind of like bought a lake. It was for snowmobiling. Like I want to go snow, but I have the nearest snowmobiling is hours and hours and hours away. So it doesn't function for me in that sense. But she loves it. So I think we're going to have to do some time there first. I don't think she'll ever sell it.
Okay.
So,
right.
And then I made kind of an investment move with some buddies down in Alpine, which is, I think absolutely Alpine's the best. In the world, I think Alpine, like Star Valley is the greatest place in the world. That's my opinion.
Wow.
but I haven't
You're
traveled
just
across the
pushing the
country.
prices of stuff there up as
I
you
know.
talk on
Yeah,
this.
well, nobody's listening to me, so don't go there. You'll die of an avalanche.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you can continue doing all of this stuff that you said at the beginning. I get emotional hearing about
Yep.
the idea of sustainable, like true sustainable housing for your team members, employees, and helping them kind of advance in life and become more established in the middle class, as you say. How does that, like, I want to get to Alpine as fast as possible. How do you juggle those two worlds, and what does that look like? Because I'm similar to you. I'm like, hey, there are things that I have dreams and hopes for, but I want to keep my word on all the things that I've told all of the wonderful team members at Titus. Hey, we're doing this. We're going places. We're going to change the world together. I want to take people on a journey of
Yeah.
generosity. How do I do this stuff and keep true and live with integrity and not? A big fear I have is somebody saying, "That's not what you told us. You know, that's not what you sold us on this dream." And then you went and go and did your own thing. Like I would never want to fall into that category.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been grafting the code of like what responsible wealth looks like. Fortunately, I haven't had my payday or anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
on the money side, I will go there later. On the just like proximity side, I don't believe in a company that needs anybody in the office to get anything done. Is kind of where I'm at. I've always been of that. It's kind of a millennial mindset, and God bless COVID, it just kind of rushed us into
Yeah.
that. So like as a construction company, we've completely embraced virtual. So I've got people working for me in Nicaragua, North Carolina, Ohio, all of that. And we've got, so that's one is we just embrace, well, I mean, I don't want to give people my secret sauce again, but if you look for a person that can only work in DeKalb, Illinois versus from the span of
Yeah.
Maine to California, I mean, set them up virtually. So we've embraced virtual.
Avoid California. The laws are way too.
You're not kidding. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry for all of our team members in California.
So yeah, similar. I mean, you've got people work for you across the country. I got people work for me across the country, and I don't need to be. I've been worked really hard for them to not selfishly actually, but I don't want to be needed in the office every day. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think for the last 2 years, we've been working at this. We as the whole company has been
Yeah.
working to make it so that the company can run without me. I mean, I'm sure you know that there was a day when you stopped having to make all the decisions.
Yeah.
So that's a big triumph for me because I'm totally there. People are making moves and they're better at it than me. You know, you're probably the same as me, a day-to-day
Mostly.
manager.
Mostly. Every now and then I go, who made that decision?
Yeah.
Why was I not
Yeah.
consulted?
So yeah, I mean, we're giving people autonomy so that I can be wherever. I don't want to say wherever I want to be. I'm here and have been here
Yeah.
because the business has required it to this point. But I mean, the other thing about this is like fencing is not just in Illinois. We're fencing. We've done projects from New York, actually all the way to California. Like we've got work going, and I mean beyond just like I want to help people be in business because I feel like once you hit a certain point, it's like like I want to help people be in business across the country.
Well, how are you going to build this housing facility? When you're,
I
you're
know
going to.
who's gonna. I don't have to. I'm not gonna watch the concrete go in. I'm gonna go push that first shovel in with. But
Well, I get that,
build
but,
it.
I mean that is a geographic statement to build housing. I mean it's not a virtual housing. It's
If
like
you-
physical. So now you put your limitations on like, hey, majority of our employees are in this area where we actually put you up and we give you a beautiful facility to live in and grow your family. Like that's a geographic statement.
I actually did it at our huddle. I asked where everybody wanted to live, and I actually, if I
Alpine, they all want to go to Alpine.
No,
You've been talking about
Tennessee
it.
has my company's heart, which is Tennessee's
Really?
on my list as well. Yeah,
Like
so,
Nashville.
yeah, Nashville, Eastern, and I really like Eastern Tennessee. But if you asked me where I was going to headquarter my business, if I was going to take my company from a 20-person to 500-person company, I wouldn't do it here. We'll have a cell here, but I think when we establish our hub, I don't think it'll be here, and that won't be by my. We will not follow my heart. We will follow the company's heart. But I do have a heart for the people here. I see what's going on in Chicago, and so I don't want to do it once. I mean, the whole country suffers from this same plague we're talking about. So,
Yeah.
will the first one be in Illinois? I don't know. So we're gonna do where we are. This
You're a
idea.
visionary.
Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
But you're telling the story right now, and I'm like, I'm inspired. I mean, I don't give a flip about fencing. Except there's a fence outside, and there's this one part
I
that's
thought I
bowing a
saw
little
that. I
bit.
was hoping you didn't have
But
some reason for that.
um, but just to say that you're in this people-tunity space, and to say that you want to create this whole leg up for this group of people that you're employing, these opportunities, and to create housing, and to say, I know where it's not going to be is not where my company permanently or currently resides. I'm going to move to a different state. I mean, that's a. I doubt there are too many fencing contractors who think like you.
Oh, there's not a one. I shouldn't say that. There might be. I know. I
Yeah.
hope. Wouldn't wish this evil on anybody else. But no, I don't
But
think so.
that's a. I mean, I can relate in the sense of I'm always at tension with the present because I want to be reaching to the future and bringing it into the present. And this kind of we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Like celebrating the present is often hard for me.
Yeah. How are you doing it? Because I heard you say you're slowing down, trying to be present, meditate, and all that.
Yeah.
We're on the same kick.
I mean, just yeah. I mean, if you the tensions in my own parenting style would be like, what are you flipping you doing? Like,
Yeah.
grow up.
Yeah.
Like I want my kids to grow up, and it causes tension because I'm not even celebrating the fact that you're 15 or
Yeah.
you're 10. I'm like, why am I demanding, or why are my expectations like that you be in your 20s being more responsible than actually celebrating? And so that's a tension, and I can have that same tension in work as well. Meaning, I love like the dynamic of growth.
Yeah.
I always want grow. I mean, even in our company manifesto, we won't grow less than 20% year over year. If we do, I'm out. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it's like
That's
Jonathan's going to quit, and I'm like, there's one side I'm like, ha, isn't that awesome? Ha. And then I'm like, and then there's another part like, how like insane is that to tell these employees that have entrusted me and said I'm going to follow this leader, I'll be a part of this company, and I trust the managers and trust the leaders, but the CEO is going to quit if I don't grow 20%. I'm like, that's just like messed up in some ways. And I'm like, I am still committed to growing, but like where is this like at all costs? We'll grow at all costs almost. And I don't really say that because our values are really clear and when generosity's. But the reason I say we want to grow is because I want to be able to give more. I
Yeah.
want to transform the world more.
Yeah.
But significance is so deep in me, like the thought of being insignificant and not actually making an impact is so like causes so much motivation in me to keep charging. The big question is at what cost? At what cost to my kids in present? What cost to it? Just celebrating people in the present. Like there's some great people on our team doing some great stuff right now, and the economy is taking beating us. Like how do you pause and say, hey, listen, I see your heart. I know you're loyal. I know you want to fight. We're not where we want to be, and am I okay with that? Well, no, I'm not okay with it, but I still value you. You know. No question. I just want to know how you handle that, being a visionary who's reaching into the future so much.
Ah, man. Put me on the spot. I was ready. I wanted to get you because we're the same way. Everybody,
Yeah.
like, people are always like, what's your exit? I'm like, as long as we're growing, I'm here. As long as the company's growing,
Yeah.
this is it. But
Yeah.
did it before, if I may, before I try, because I have a hard time reconciling. Did your, I don't want to call it the problem, but your sitting here, but mind is here.
Yeah.
Did you find you burned people for a while? Was there ever, because for me, that
Yeah.
was I ran people off the ante all the time, and I never really, it took me a long time to like realize that I was doing that.
Well, what I find, I mean, the answer is yes. I probably am not that aware of those people
Okay.
because I find myself wanting to surround myself with the growth mindset
Yeah.
people and be dismissive of those who aren't. And I've definitely, even having leaders in our company going, aren't you happy with what I've done?
Yeah.
I grew this by 30%. I'm like, yeah, but that one grew by 60.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, and I remember years back, we were really clear on what does 100% look like. So compensation, I'm going to pay you 100% of your salary. which is fair. Everyone seems to want their money every 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
they don't like it if I give them 80%. Like,
Yeah.
well, I think you did 80% work. But if we were to be really clear about what 100% salary looks like, on compensation looks like, and what does 100% performance or effort or output look like, if we're really clear on quantifying those things, um, we had this culture where we would celebrate the top performing people, but some of these people were running 150, 160%, and those who are doing 101, like we were like, I busted my tail like to get the 100%, and that works for my lifestyle, and I'm doing 100%, but I don't seem to get celebrated. I'm like, that's a really good point. We need to have everyone who gets 100% needs to be celebrated,
Yeah.
because that is what we said. We're going to pay you to do this job, but if you do this job, thank you, well done, let's celebrate you. So learning to celebrate 100% or 90%, whatever it is. I don't know how the millennial Gen Z celebration award ribbon culture. I
Yeah.
understand, like, we've created this generation, so I don't want to roll my eyes at it. I'm like, they're a product of the parenting.
Yeah.
We've created this, and now we're having to employ it.
Right.
So I'm like really conscious of that. That's probably why I'm so hard on my kids.
Yeah.
But this whole dynamic of um, learning to pause and say well done when a job well done has been done.
Yeah.
And even though it doesn't compare to, I think that's like it's the whole challenge of like the clicks and likes, and I can put something on YouTube and be like, hey, I got 100% of the people I really wanted to look at this, look
Yeah.
at it. And am I okay to go, well, it's not 12 million, is it? Like
Mm.
where I've got like a son who would be look at and value how many views and clicks and likes, because that's the kind of the YouTube drug.
Hmm.
Like rather than just pausing and celebrating a job well done, I need to do a better job of that. And I think that's the kind of the tension of probably many visionaries. And
Oh, I'm so bad.
I, I
I'm
think
so bad.
one of the things I've been thinking about is how people they systematize those things. It doesn't mean it's not personal. Like if my phone will remind me date night is on Tuesday.
Yeah.
My phone reminds me of that, so that I go, shoot, it's date night. And it's not shoot, like
Yeah.
it means I need to be intentional. I'm like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, I gotta do I want to take my wife out on a date? Of course I do. Will I enjoy it? Will she enjoy it? Yeah. I've systematized it. It doesn't mean it's not personalized. Like it is
Yeah.
actually intentional because I care. How do I pause and put systems in place to acknowledge and recognize all people in the company for a job well done? I'm not I'm not wired to write little handwritten notes and pause and celebrate the moment. So I have to train myself to do it with mindfulness and things like that, or hire somebody to do it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to say Kevin could do better in this realm as well. That's a good idea. I mean, yeah, we've tried to do some culture award stuff, but yeah, I have not figured that out. Right now, my big thing is when somebody brings me something that I should be proud of. It was always okay, but there's always a freaking but with me, and I
Yeah,
can't just say that was awesome. That was
yeah.
awesome. So, but yeah, we have some internal awards, but I definitely it's a good call out. I could do better in that realm.
Yeah. The other thing is, well, I think this is probably kind of your economic situation of like a $25 gift card or a $50 gift card could go a long way for somebody.
Hmm.
Like that goes a long way. Um, I think depending on what people's kind of sort of income levels are, is a big deal of time spent. Like actually giving them time
Yep.
is super valuable.
Hmm.
Like I can go and spend $25 and give you a gift card or whatever to a restaurant, or I can take you for lunch and sit
Yep.
down and actually hear your story and hear about your family and hear about your tensions of life and challenges of life, and be impacted and moved by that in a celebratory or a painful way as I'm
Yeah.
dealing with them. I think those are things as well, like the real honor and value of people. I'd imagine that's big in your world if you can work your way through each team member and
Yep.
take them for, because your time is so precious. You can't get that back, but to show them that they're valuable enough to have your time.
That's what I'm working on. That's this year's quest for me is to, like I used to be. Uh, I hope we can be humble in here and admit our faults, but yeah,
That's what it's
I
about.
used
Yeah.
to be so I mean, and this is kind of when you were talking about you're trying to be more present this year. That's the same for me. very transactional. You know, if I've got 100 people to call, like it was always a value proposition, right? Well, like I wouldn't call Jonathan to just catch up. Jonathan doesn't need anything from me, and I don't need anything from him. So like,
Yeah.
you don't make the list. But it's like, and I would do that with my people. Like, why are you telling me about your kids? You know, why are you telling? Like, I was robotic. Why are you telling me about this? I have like 20 emails that need to get
What
done.
do you need me to do? How do I
Yeah,
help?
yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. And now, so this is my big thing, and along with my prayer journal, I've got like a list of people that I need to like just call.
Yeah.
I've got a call list and a prayer list.
Yeah.
And they either get a P and a C or a P or a C. Like, I need to call Sam. Like, how's that guy doing? And like,
Yeah.
that's what life's about. And I mean, I'm working with a coach about it because
Yeah.
this is not limited to my employees. I mean,
Yeah.
my poor wife, like, if you were to say you're going to go on a beach vacation with Lauren and you can't read a book and you need to sit there and just relax, dude, I'm freaking out. I'm tweaking out. There's not enough meds in the building. I'm going to lose my freaking mind. I'm not going to sit at a pool or a beach. I can do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And how dare me rob that joy from my, like, the person that's most important to me aside from Jesus is like she knows she's never going to ask me to do that because
Yeah.
it's terrible. I need to be kiteboarding, snowboarding, snowmobiling, hunting, shooting, doing something. I have to be doing something dangerous so that this crazy psychopath up here can just quiet down and focus on what he's doing. Being on a beach, it's neurotic. But that's why I've kind of enlisted help, is because I want to be better for her and I want to be better, just like you're talking. Like, I want people to be seen. Everybody should be seen by me every time they see me. But like, when I come into the office, that's not the case. I'm like just trying to get you out of my way so I can get to my desk and get my work done, which is freaking terrible, man. That is not Jesus. That's not Jesus. That is so un-Christ-like. That's just the way I've been for my whole life. So now I got to change that.
My brother, he I'm assuming it's in a humorous way. He'll be like, "Is this a long story?" Because I'm just trying to budget my evening, you know. And I'm like, "Dude, you're such a jerk. Why do you say that to me?" And then on the flip side, I heard someone the other day like, "How is kind of a coach helping me become more present?" And they said this statement of like, when somebody starts telling you a story and they've already told it to you, and they say something, "Did I tell you this already?" Response being, "Tell me again. I might hear something different." I'm like, when I heard this person say that, I'm like, "Oh, what a waste! What a waste of time!" But it was it's a story that they want to tell, and they don't remember telling me already, and they decided they wanted to tell me again, or they decided they really wanted me to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, so I obviously wasn't created memorable enough in the dialogue that we had. Maybe I wasn't engaged when I was hearing the first time.
Wow.
They didn't remember telling it to me. So was it something that I was doing that made it less memorable?
Yeah.
Was I not showing enough care and inquisitiveness to the story the first time? So when I hear it a second time, I need to show them more presentness, that they remember that they told me. And that's how I took away from it. I'm like, flip, I want to get better at this. But it sounds like we suffer from the same.
You're ahead of me.
Same problem.
You're listening to stories twice. My wife is in the car going like she'll tell me a story and she knows I wasn't listening, and then she says something and I go, "What can you tell?" Like, she's gonna repeat her story because I literally didn't hear any of it like consecutive. So I think you're in at least phase 2 of the lesson. I gotta get to just hearing it. I actually have to remember. They would say that, yeah, I'm behind you, but yeah.
No, and it's a journey. It is a journey. Well, I'm inspired. I'm inspired by your story, where you want to go, and I want to keep talking over lunch.
Yeah,
I got a load more questions how you get there.
Absolutely.
And I think probably many of our listeners will be like, I gotta connect with this guy. How do people find you if they want to like hear more of the story or grab lunch with you and interrupt your life? If they wanted to get onto your P or C list.
Can I leave? Do I leave I mean, yeah, my cell phone is available to anybody that wants to talk to me. Or
okay, tell me about your company then. How do they find you from your company? What's the website?
Complete Fence. Yeah, completefence.com.
That's cool.
I think it's northernillinoisfence.com, I think.
He doesn't even know his own website. Look at that.
That's pretty bad, huh?
No, it's fine. I'm sure people will find you. And you'll build fences anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't do backyards.
Did you call it building fences?
Yeah, we build fences.
Okay, right.
Erecting fences.
Okay.
But fence erectors. But yeah, we will. Yeah, but before we close, I want to make sure everybody knows that you inspire me as well. Like, I've been watching the Jonathan story, and I'm like, yeah, he's doing exactly what I want to do.
I know that. I only invite people into my home who are going to feed my ego. Come on now.
No. But yeah, you're doing awesome work, man. So.
Thanks.
I appreciate you having me.
Well, I'm looking forward to journeying with you, and I'll probably end up in not far from Alpine. I'll be in the billionaires playground.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll come visit you when
Come up
I
to
want people to know
where
that
the
I
other
know
half
people
lives.
like that. When are you coming?
I am I am online every night trying to figure out how to get there. No, it is insanely expensive out there, so I don't know if
Are you
that's.
thinking Alpine or are you thinking Jackson?
Well, I'm now going to look into Alpine.
Okay.
I do love Jack. I love that you're right there by all the national parks.
Yeah.
And I hear it's they're great seasons of the year. And I mean, literally this morning I said to my wife, I was like, I don't know if it's going to be like all the time we'd live there, but I would love to be out in that part of the
Yeah,
world. And maybe it's kind of the one day over 6 months a year, so it's primary residence time. But there you go.
I understand.
All righty. It's good to have you, man. Thanks a lot for
Sweet.
joining.
Thanks for having me.